Hi everyone, welcome back to PMAT Live. This is episode number 9. A reader, after I said, please send me your questions, it'll be awesome, I'll tell you how to do everything that you ever wanted to know, hooray, asked me a question about this particular item here. They are the authentic Crepe Dentelle. It is especially Brittany in France. I had honestly never heard of these things before this reader said, tell me everything there is to know about them. I'm like, well, it's a short list. But anyway, I went and did some research because she wants to know how to make them at home. Well, apparently, it's about impossible to make these at home. They're very thin, caramelized crepes that are done on a griddle and then rolled up. So you end up with a bunch of really crispy, ridiculously thin layers. And I took a bite of the first one and I thought, well, this is kind of boring. But 12 crepes later, I decided that they're my new favorite thing. So I can understand the appeal, something about the thin, crisp, lacy texture, and they're real easy to eat. So I'm going to try really hard to see if I can't duplicate this recipe, and at the same time I'm going to show you behind the curtain about how my brain is working in regards to the recipe. So here's a close-up of it. This is what I did. I bought Plubra, which is European style butter. It just means that it has less water in it and it's got a higher butterfat concentrate. I would assume that that's the closest that I can get in a home kitchen and with regular grocery store items to a concentrated pastry butter. I'm going to share with you my attempts to mix this batter up and try and get a good consistency. We'll maybe go through a couple of trials and we'll see what we come up with. So there you go. Get ready. It'll be interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you my scratchy notes where I started. And I've made one change so far to that already, and that is instead of using ½ ounce of sugar, I'm using 3/4 of an ounce of sugar. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've got everything is in here except for the little bit of leavening, which I'm going to grab right now. Just a pinch. Alright, so everybody's in my little bowl here. And I am just going to mash everybody up and see what happens. Okay, so I mixed everybody together, and what I end up with is this little Play-Doh bit of dough here. Right off the bat, it feels very, very buttery. It tastes very buttery. There's enough salt in it. I like the flavor, but remember, this is supposed to be a very thin finished product. So it is my first experiment is going to be trying to spread it in the griddle pretty thinly with a little offset spatula. I've got my pan preheated a bit over medium heat. So I'm going to try and spread out the pie. So far it's going swimmingly, don't you think? Okay, so I'm actually pretty pleased with the first round of experimentation. The flavor is really good. I tasted the little guys that I had cooked in the griddle earlier. The flavor is almost identical. Bearing in mind I don't have identical ingredients, but it's about as close as I'm going to be able to get it, I think. The saltiness is right, the sweetness is right, so that's good. What it's lacking is a little bit of flow, a little slip, and it's my experiment was crunchy, whereas these are crispy, so that tells me add more butter. So I went ahead and melted an extra 1/4 of an ounce, and I'm just going to put that right in here. So let's see what happens when we try this. And I think the main issue with it is we have to have a delivery system that will allow you to spread a ridiculously thin layer of batter evenly across the pan. I am thinking for that that paintbrush might be the way to go. So let's see what happens. And if we have to add more butter, you know, that's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. So let's see what happens with this. Let's see what happens when I try and spread it in there. Oh look, nothing is happening. Not much anyway. So now I understand a couple of things. Thing number one is that I don't think that baking on a home skillet is going to work, just period. Because the amount of butter I'd have to put in there to allow it to be as thin as possible, I just don't think that the batter would stay together. I think it would separate. I'm going to try spreading it really thinly and seeing what we can come up with baking it on Silpat. So that is the next plan. Here we go. And now I'm just going to spread a really, really thin layer. I'm going to bake in a relatively hot oven at 400 degrees. I'm going to keep an eye on it like a hawk. Okay, so I baked at 400 degrees for exactly 4 minutes. Okay, so I'm back. Here is the new batter. It's exactly the same, although I went ahead and melted all of the butter instead of just working it in. So it's pretty thin. Very much the consistency of a normal, what I would call a tuile batter. Not real sure about this, but we're going to give it a shot. In the oven again, 400 degrees. I'll set the timer for 3 minutes and then see what happens. The egg whites might make it set up a little more quickly. We'll see. Okay, so here is the test crepe. I was whining about how I didn't think it would work. It worked pretty darn well. And if I do say so myself, 3.5 minutes instead of 4 minutes because like I thought, the egg white kind of made everybody set up a little bit faster and start browning. I'm going to try this one little crispy piece. Oh, you guys, I think so. I think so. Oh my. I'm trying this little experiment a couple of days after the rest of it. I literally woke up 4:30 this morning and thought, you know what? I'm going to try this again. A little pan spray. Brushing our batter. Look for good caramelization. And then roll your lacy beauty up. Really is extremely light and delicate. So Huda, I didn't give up. I loved what I did a couple of days ago, but I think I love this one even more. Sometimes it just takes a wild thought in the middle of the night to help you figure out what you were missing. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Really, really tasty. I hope you enjoyed this edition of PMAT Live and a little peek behind the curtain of how I try and figure out the whys and the hows behind the what's of baking. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.